Well, hello again, friends. Today we are going to talk about something that often gets overlooked about the gospel. Certainly, the reconciliation of human beings to Himself is God's primary goal in His redemptive plans, but they aren't the only goal of those plans. All right, as we're going to see today. So let's jump in. This is question and answer 26. Question. What else does Christ's death redeem? Answer. Christ's death is the beginning of the redemption and renewal of every part of fallen creation, as He powerfully directs all things for His own glory and creation's good. All right, we often forget about the effects of sin on creation. And its need, its desire to be made right as well. The Apostle Paul in Romans 8, he says this. He says, "For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. For the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of Him who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to corruption and obtain the freedom of the glory of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth until now." All right? So, unlike us, humans, who brought sin into the world, creation was subjected to the futility of life in a fallen world against its will. And it, or they, I guess, we're talking about all created things, have been groaning and longing for God to redeem us so that they can finally be healed as well. And this is certainly one of the goals of Christ's redemptive work on the cross, all right? And we see that in passages like Colossians 1, says, "For Him," this is talking about Christ, "for in Him, rather, all the fullness of God was pleased to dwell, and through Him to reconcile to Himself all things, whether on earth or in heaven, making peace by the blood of His cross." And so the peace that Christ makes through His sacrifice on the cross is not just for us or between us and God or between us and each other. It's also between us and creation and between creation and itself. Right? Revelation 21, when John sees this vision of heaven coming down, right? And this voice is announcing what's happening as God's coming to dwell with His people. And He who is seated on the throne, it's Revelation 21, verse 5. "He who was seated on the throne said, I am making all things new." So the scope of redemption is exhaustive. It's not limited to just humankind and what's wrong with us. It's all of creation being made right again. So He's making all things new. And this was the plan all along. We can see that now as we look back into the Old Testament. Even one thing I find so fascinating is we go back to the covenant that God makes with Noah after the flood in Genesis 9. Listen to some of the language here, and I'll pick out some excerpts here because it's a long passage, but this is from Genesis 9. "Then God said to Noah and his sons with him, I now establish my covenant with you and with your descendants after you, and with every living creature that was with you, the birds, the livestock, all the wild animals, and all those who came out of the ark with you, every living creature on earth. I establish my covenant with you. Never again will all life be destroyed by the waters of a flood. Never again will there be a flood to destroy the earth." When God said this is the sign of the covenant that I am making between me and you and between every living creature with you, a covenant for all generations to come. And he talks about how He's giving the rainbow, right, as a sign of that covenant. It will be a sign, it says here, it will be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. Isn't that interesting? And then again, later, He says, "I will remember my covenant." He's talking about whenever the clouds disappear and the rainbow appears. I will remember my covenant between me and you and all living creatures of every kind. Over and over and over again, this passage is emphasizing that all of creation is involved in this covenant, right? He says, again, I will see it, I will remember the everlasting covenant between God and all living creatures of every kind on the earth. So God said to Noah, this is the sign of the covenant I have established between me and all life on the earth. So God entered into covenant with animals and plants and every living thing on this earth. And isn't that incredible? All of creation is a recipient of God's covenant promise never to be destroyed again for the purpose of making it new again, right? Redeeming it. And so let's just look at one more passage together. And I find this one is amazing. This one I've always, since I was a child, I have found this passage fascinating. And this is from Isaiah's prophecy where God, he's pulling back the curtain on the future for Israel, and he's showing what's in store for them. And of course, he begins with, there's going to be peace and security for humans. Of course, there's going to be the end of all wars. There's going to be no more exile. Life is going to be renewed in the sense that their relationship with God and with one another, our relationship with God and with one another is going to be totally reconciled. But then God continues, and he tells them that not only will their relationships with him, or rather our relationships with him and our relationships with one another will be made new or restored, but also our relationship with creation and creation's relationship with creation will also be made new as well. Okay, so this is Isaiah 11, verses 6 to 9, okay? Here the word of the Lord says, the wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the young goat, and the calf and the lion and the fatted calf together, and a little child shall lead them. The cow and the bear shall graze, their young shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. The nursing child shall play over the hole of the cobra, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the adder's den. They shall not hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea. That is a picture of eternity in a restored new earth with God. All right? All of creation restored, living together in perfect peace, perfect harmony. There's no fear anymore. There's no tension between us and creation, or between creation and itself. It's perfect peace, right? In the kingdom of heaven, in the new heaven and the new earth. And of course, this is only accomplished through Christ's death and resurrection. And so, yes, we say that this too is accomplished by Christ's death. And that is what our question and answer today is all about. So, yeah, that's it. It's incredible, isn't it? And I will see you back here next week.